Hello, journeymen and journeywomen. This is a Hero's Journey with Dr. D. I'm starting a podcast in addition with my video format. And the topic today is talking about communication and relationships. Often we have relationships in which communication goes bad. But the question goes, why? Why can I ever get my message through? Why doesn't the individual ever hear what I'm saying? I think that we just need to understand that in effective communication, there are two parties at hand. You have the sender and you have the receiver. Often, the sender is not thinking about the person who's receiving their message. They're looking at the person, they're addressing words to the person, but they're not thinking about how the person receives. We have different types of people. Some people are analytical, some people are tactile, some people are visual, some people are auditory. Well, auditory generally are analytical individuals, and they can receive things basically on an analytical or a structured format. However, when you're talking about a person visual, if you describe something in a pictorial way, they can see it, because the whole object is for them to see what you're talking about so they can act accordingly. And accordingly means act according to the way that you are intending the message to be received. And that's generally how ineffective communication takes place. It takes place when the person is not receiving the message, the intended message that was meant from the sender. So what happens? The question is, what happens? What happens? You have three forms of communication. You have aggressive, passive aggressive, and assertive. Assertive is the communication style that adults use. With a side note, is three types of communication as an undertone format in which a person speaks. You have the assertive, which is the adult format in which everybody's talking in a method where intelligent people want to be heard and want to hear. So it's a win-win situation. But then you have aggressive. You gonna do this. I'm saying this, and just somebody's just going off the chain and just angry and violent like in nature and in verbal output. And that would be the critical parent. If you don't do this or else. And then you have the passive aggressive. Majority of people actually deal with the passive aggressive. Or do they deal with it? Really, they don't deal with it at all. They have a black and white type of personality type, meaning they have a person that does not meet their expectation. For the most part, they don't even tell the individual that they did you wrong. They just let the person keep doing them wrong. And then they just cut the person off. And the person is clueless. They may mumble it, they may internalize it, but they never communicate it to the individual that's doing the wrong. Because the individual's mind, they're not doing it wrong, they're just doing what they know. Because their normal could be your wrong. And if you cut them off, as a parent, that is your wrong. That's what you would call the critical child. Pretty much it's the person who's just mumbles and goes to the room. That's a visual look at it. But really it's a person, they may mumble something and say, it's okay. But internally, they're jacked up. And they don't relay the information. And they're dealing with something that goes deep inside and suppresses itself down. And sometimes it comes out as somatic disorder. Somatic disorder is when something actually kind of filtrates and becomes a physical ailment because of something that's held internally. I think what a lot of people don't understand, that energy never goes away. It just goes in different forms. And if you internalize it, you just keep it inside. And then you wonder why you are depressed. And I've heard someone say that depression is nothing but anger internalized, meaning that you're not displaying anger at anybody else, but your anger is internalized towards yourself. And if anger is internalized towards yourself, you are feeling really down about yourself because you're down in yourself. All the things you meant to display or express to someone else about the wrong they're doing, you're holding it in for yourself. So you're holding their sin with you and against you. When the person who did the sin, in some cases, don't even know, because you did not show an assertive manner of communication to let them know how they treated you. So to explain, you have three types. You have aggressive, passive aggressive, and you have assertive. Assertive is the type of communication that we all would like to do. And that's why communication is an art form, because it's not really something you can, overnight, and you're not ingrained, you're not born with excellent communication skills. You learn them through your parents or your teachers, to your coaches, or through books. And a lot of times you don't learn them at all, and you have to take into account that it's something that needs to be learned so you can dwell with others in harmony, and more importantly, dwell with yourself. This is a hero's journey with Dr. D, getting up vertical and always moving forward.